Welcome back to Final Resonance TV and episode number 23 of Musical Journeys. Today I'm with Larry Mitchell, Grammy winner,
hello,
guitar player and producer and engineer.
I try.
All of those, right? Cool.
I try.
So Larry's played with people like Tracy, Chapman and Billy Squier, road musician. You're all over the place. Do all kinds of things.
Well, I think to survive as a musician, you need to do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Wow.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, so I like I said to you earlier off camera that I had known of you since the 80s, you know, and the whole REH video thing, because, you know, as guitar players, REH was everything for us. VHS and
VHS
how to
tapes.
learn all the licks from all those guys.
I remember the Paul Gilbert video when he had the green screen behind him going up and down the escalators and stuff like
Intense
that.
Rock 2, I remember.
Yeah.
I still have it.
I was like, that's pretty cool. And then when I got called to see if I wanted to do it, I was like, wow, should I do something like that?
Sure you should. Yeah, man. So let's go back with your career a little bit. I want to kind of start out with your influences because, you know, that's where it all began. So what was it that got you, you know, interested in music in the very first place, and what age were you when that happened?
I've always been interested in music. I think I had a toy guitar at 2-ish.
Wow.
The toy guitar at 2. I got a real guitar, acoustic guitar, I believe close to 8, 9 years old. And then at 9, there was a kid on the block named Mark Brown who showed me how to play one song.
Which song do you remember?
It was like a Donna Summer song, I think.
Right,
or something like that. And that was I think the bug.
Right.
That was it. Then pretty much any time I never took lessons, especially back then. I'd taken maybe 5 actual lessons.
Right.
And so everything came hard. But anybody that I saw play an instrument, I was immediately attracted to, like, what's going on.
Right.
And then anybody that was playing guitar, I was like, whoa.
Right.
So I would try, and I still catch myself doing it. When I would see somebody playing, no matter what stage they were at, I would try and learn one thing from them.
Right.
I would try and go, oh, that's a new chord. What chord is that?
Right.
You know, or if they were trying to do, you know, it took me a long time before I even understood what solos were. So I was doing scales, but I wasn't actually soloing.
Right.
I was rhythm guitar player in a band, and then
So you didn't have any very few formal lessons, like you said.
I have 5 much later on, and you know, 5 lessons much later on.
Okay, later on.
Yeah,
So
I got to give a shout out to Irv Berner, who I believe is still running the Songbirds Museum in Chattanooga.
Oh, really?
Have you been there?
I've been there. It's killer.
Yeah. So that's who gave me 3 of those 5 lessons,
Wow.
and got me to slow down and learn some blues licks, because Irv was all about Larry Carlton, and I think Eric Clapton too, but I know he was about Larry Carlton.
Yeah, that's a great museum.
Oh, it's
Yeah, if you haven't been to Songbirds in Chattanooga,
yes,
you got to go there.
Yeah, you just kind of go, oh my.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to take the VIP tour.
That would be Irv, I'm pretty sure.
And get back in that
unless
back,
something's changed,
get
that would
back
be
in
Irv.
that back room and check out those things.
Yeah. Oh, the back room.
Oh, yeah.
And the room leading up to the back room.
That too.
You need to go see it.
Check it out. It's incredible. Yeah. So that's interesting. Wow. So from there, you're what you said. You're really young, and then when do you first like get with other people and play? And
when we moved to Queens, from Brooklyn to Queens.
Okay.
And there was a group of guys that were playing. They were into like R&B and funk and stuff like that. And then Nile Rodgers was the disco craze was happening.
Right.
And
70s.
yeah, 70s. And Nile was out, and I remember my friend Bruce Swinton. He knew how to play that stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, show me that. So that's how I went up to somebody who was playing guitar. I was like, show me that.
Right.
How do you do that?
Right.
You know, oh, by the way, my name is Larry, you know. And so I hung out with those guys for a while. And
So let's back up. You were born where?
Brooklyn.
Okay, and this is where you were at the time.
And this is Queens.
Okay, Queens. Yeah. Okay.
And then I don't know how to tell this particular story, but I remember being a really young boy in a living room with a really young girl.
Uh-oh.
And her mom wasn't home, and we were sitting on the couch hanging out, talking. And but she had this record on, and I was like, I kept getting distracted by the record, and then this song Bambi came on, and it was just like guitar that was just screaming. And I was like, what is this? She goes, it's this new guy, Prince.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. And then we're hanging out talking some more. And because that's what you do when there's no adult supervision.
Parents around.
You talk. The second rock tune on that record, because I mean the whole record's great, but there's like two distorted guitar solo tunes on there.
Okay.
I was like, what is this again? She said it's Prince, and this artist named Prince. I said, can I borrow this? She said, yeah, and I got up and took this record to vinyl, the album, and went home.
Did you? Wow.
I left.
Wow. Do you remember which Prince album it was?
The second one, For You, I believe it was. But I left.
Right. Really?
That talking situation to go listen to the record.
Wow.
And then I remember in high school, there was a band called The Cheats that I'm still friends with most of those guys because I don't know where, two of them, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
I would go see them play, and they were playing like the Kinks and...
Right.
And
60s Britpop rock.
Yeah, all kinds of some cool stuff. Maybe some Bruce Springsteen. Maybe I can't remember if they were playing Springsteen then.
Right.
And I sat in with them a couple of times, but I didn't really know what I was doing and stuff. I think I just started playing some sort of leads. I didn't play any leads for the first 5 years of playing guitar because I didn't understand it. And then the guitar, we'd have these playful things like what's better music and stuff like that. And then the guitar player in that band said his mother worked for NASA Coliseum and he had tickets to a band called Van Halen.
Oh, wow.
I needed to come. And so we went and we were on the floor.
Is this your first concert?
This is not my first concert, but my first rock concert.
Okay.
And on the floor right there. And first of all, Eddie was just amazing. I'd never heard anything like that. It was just a continuous assault of amazing guitar playing.
Right.
But Dave Lee Roth was the showman.
Right.
And I was like going, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do this.
Right. Wow. So, this is 78?
This is 70. Yeah, this had to be probably 78 or 79.
Okay. Wow.
I think it was 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, 78, 79.
So that it's just I mean, I've heard...
It was their first, what was their first headline tour? Was it 79?
79.
Yeah, so it was 79.
79. Yeah, a lot of people tell me about 79, 80,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people that I know, and they just talk about how alien it was for the time. Because I came a little bit later with Van Halen. It was Beat It, you know, when I first heard him play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
I just didn't... I hadn't picked it up on it yet, but then later I saw the video for Unchained.
Okay.
You know, on Don Kirshner's rock concert. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I live for that.
It was like, you know, Midnight Special, all that, you know,
Yep.
before the videos on MTV. So that's where I was first exposed to the 81 tour from the videos, and that's kind of what got me going. But yeah, he was just, you know, transformational. I
remember moments that really affected me musically and especially guitar, where you stop whatever you're doing.
Right.
And the first one was probably... The first one, I still didn't understand it, was running through the house. My grandmother was watching Hee Haw.
Yeah, sure.
And it was like Jerry Reed, Chet Atkins, and Roy Clark.
Yeah.
And
Crazy,
it stopped me in my tracks. And I remember going to school the next day in urban America and going, did you guys see Hee Haw last night? And they go, Hee Haw? What are you watching that for? You don't understand. These guys were doing some stuff on the guitar I never even could imagine.
Right.
And then the second was the Prince moment.
Right.
And the third was Van Halen.
Right.
And I think the fourth was, and at that point I was exposed to a lot of stuff, but I think the fourth moment that stopped me was Eric Johnson, Cliffs of Dover, in my friend Ira's car, playing the sound page of Cliffs of Dover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, stop the car. And he's like, what's wrong? I said, who is this? He goes, dude, you almost killed us. I'm like, who is this? He goes, Eric Johnson. I go, the country guy? Because I read the article, but that's the famous article where Eric is, sorry, Eric, that Eric's talking about the different batteries. And I was like, this guy's out of his mind. What's he talking about?
Right.
And I don't know why. And I knew country players are great. No disrespect to country players, but I was like, all right, he's cool. He's a country player. It's got to be good. All right, cool.
Right.
But when I heard that Cliffs of Dover intro, I was like, that's everything that's in my head.
Right, really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
wow.
And there was nothing like it to me. There was nothing.
Didn't that win a Grammy?
I don't know.
I think that record did.
Probably. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. If it was at least nominated for sure. Yeah.
I hope so.
The sound page. That was something that I ran. You know what you talk about sound page on my record that I'm gonna give you later. There's a song that was inspired by the Crush of Love Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
That was on the sound page.
Oh, really?
That I still have it. Every once in a while, I'll throw it on
I wish
there.
I had those old sound pages.
I still have
we used
some.
to, because you can only play them for so long before they start to disintegrate.
Right.
So the first thing you did was you put them on a cassette.
Right.
And I remember I
That's
had the one cassette that had Blue Powder and everything,
Right,
and then it had Steve Stevens, who was the local guitar hero. In Queens. And so that was the Guitar World according to Steve Stevens, and that came out on a cassette.
Wow.
I think it was either in a package or you mailed away for. I can't remember, but I had that.
Right. Well, Guitar Player always had them in the sound pages. Inside. So you're in high school. You're in some bands at that point, or right after this Van Halen thing,
and then after high school, I was in this band called. Right after high school, I was in this band called Courier, which was a Rush cover band.
Right.
Tribute. Well, I wouldn't say tribute band. It was a Rush cover band. But we did I don't know how many, almost 40 Rush tunes.
Wow.
Talking about
hardcore.
Not popular with women.
Sounds like my first experience with Iron Maiden.
There you go.
We did my first gig was for my sister's friends, and we played pretty much all Scorpions, Iron Maiden, right? Didn't really work out very well for us. Not with the ladies. Right?
Yep.
So tell me the ascension to your first professional gig from there. What happens in between that spot where you're in a Rush cover band and then you end up...
We finally got somewhat popular by doing some Police and Zebra and Triumph. We talked about Rick Emmett before.
Right, Rick Emmett, yeah, sure.
And then the next step was for me to get off Long Island and Queens and go into Manhattan.
Okay.
So I joined a band called Rhythm Team. And the Rhythm Team had the drummer Steve Missel, who was on the first Billy Idol record.
Okay.
Oddly, with Steve Stevens. But
right.
I didn't meet him through Steve. I met him through another friend of mine who's a great guitar player named Jeff Thal, who I remember Jeff was the only one that had 2 rolling chorus Space Echoes.
Okay, yeah.
Chorus Echoes or Space Echoes.
The box.
Yeah, but he had 2 of them for stereo. And I walked into his and I hit a chord and it's like, what? He had 412s pointed at him, and I was like,
the whole rig was in stereo?
Oh, yeah.
What year is this? It's
God,
gotta be
I don't know.
Early 80s, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Early 80s. But it was like, that's it. That was it.
That was it.
Fell in love with delays from that moment on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I heard that, in the Van Halen record, you heard that on You Really Got Me, the little subtle delay, and after that I was kind of hooked on it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I love to hear. Spatially, I think it's more for me spatially. What about you? For you, is it
it's part spatial, part effect, part of the sound. I've always into, when I was into Rush, in the trio, you had to fill out sound a little bit.
Right.
And then especially with Andy Summers, you really had to.
Right.
I had 2 massive pedal boards,
right.
One for clean and one for lead.
Right.
And an AB box in the middle.
Yeah,
so it's just for sonically, and then even Steve Stevens back then was into just sonic assault.
Lots of cool things, right? All those
I love
cool effects, the ray gun and all that.
Yeah. Got my ray gun sound.
Got the ray gun, man.
And then the Edge, I got into the Edge.
Oh, yeah?
And,
cool.
And then my friend Jeff Dahl, he thought about stuff differently. So I was always hanging out with a group of... actually, if you go back to the first group of guys that I met in Queens and we were showing me the Nile Rodgers stuff, we always had about 10 guitar players. And then when I started hanging out in the 5 towns right next to where I was in Queens, there was another group of 10 guitar players. And out of that, my friend John Levin, who's in Dokken.
Sure, yeah.
And he...
great guitar player.
John, we're if I was 18, John was 16 maybe. Yeah, I think I'm a couple years older than John. I might be 3 years older than John.
Yeah.
So John was the guy that could figure anything. Any Van Halen lick he knew. And Yngwie goes, I don't know what he's doing. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, I think he's doing this. And it's like, okay. And I was the guy that knew the funk stuff. And there was another guy that was the blues guy. Then there was the guy that Jeff, who would he took lessons from Bill Connors, and Jeff would come in. We were all just hanging out, talking, and playing guitar and stuff. And he would check this chord out. I've been working on it for 3 months. It's like, Jeff, you're gonna break fingers, man.
Wow.
So he was.
So everybody was kind of feeding off each other. That's something that happened. I don't know if it happens. Everybody's so separated now with the internet that you don't have that kind of thing where you all hang out together and learn from each other. And as much?
I have it a little bit with certain friends and stuff like that, but it doesn't. I mean, especially back then, you have no real worries and stuff like that. So
Sure.
We would just go hang out at John's house or somebody's house, and
Right.
and just hang out and talk and play guitar. And and then you get tired of that, and you meet up with somebody else at somebody else's house. And
yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember we just sit around and trade licks and show each other songs and that we learned off the records and just share. Yeah, so you're all your guys are in New York and you're working in a band.
In New York City, I was playing in when I started hanging out in New York City, I was playing after the rhythm team with Steve Missel and Jeff Dahl. The reason I brought up Jeff had left that band, so he turned me on to that band.
Yeah.
I just started working in lots of different bands. I actually had, out of high school, had to start making a living. So you do some band gigs, some singer-songwriter gigs where you learn, you get paid for rehearsals, you get paid for the shows, and
right.
And I was, for a moment there, I was actually playing in, I think, 9 bands in New York City at the same time.
Wow.
And
see, I only playing 4. People give me crap all the time.
Like, gotta work.
How many bands are you in? I'm like,
gotta work.
Well, 4 or 5, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you gotta work, and so
Yeah. Next time they give you that, just go. Warren Haynes. just go like that. Just go Warren Haynes.
Warren Haynes.
Yeah. No one's got more gigs on Warren than Warren's got he's
That's
playing with
right.
everybody, right?
That's all right.
And killing it.
Oh, George Lynch has got like 10 bands at a time, right?
Really now? Well, are they all touring at the same time?
No,
because Warren, I think, is like hopping from one tour to the next tour.
Yeah. George just records lots of albums.
Yeah, George. Warren's playing live.
Right, lots of gigs.
And John Mayer's now trying to do that too. He's playing in a bunch of different bands, right? He's doing the Dead and Company and his own thing.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, it seems like today that's pretty standard. I mean, for all
it's fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
I play with a lot of the artists I produce. So, I some, especially in the beginning, I go out and play with them and stuff. So
yeah, sure.
If they want me to.
Sure. Well, it's good for the soul. Good for different vibes and different things. It makes feels good. So go on from there.
There's a guy named Carmine Rojas who's like.
Of course.
It's Carmine.
Yeah, right.
And who's played with everybody. And then he was for a few years he was in Joe Bonamassa's band. Mm-hmm. Him and Tal played with me as well.
Wow.
So Carmine came back to New York off the Rod Stewart tour and was putting together, I think it was the Rod Stewart tour, he was putting together a band for a Spanish-Italian artist named Miguel Bosé in 1988. And most of the guys that he normally knew were on the road. Okay. So he started asking around and heard my name kept popping up at all the places and the clubs and the people that he would ask for. And so he called me up and asked me if I wanted to come audition, and I did that and did that tour. And that was my first time outside of the country in 1988, doing shows for 20,000, 40,000 people. And it was great.
So when you make the jump, a lot of people ask me this, when you make that kind of jump, because I've never done 20,000 before, but when you make that jump, where were you before to those? I mean, were you doing 200 people clubs before that?
The Bitter End, yes. China Club, maybe the Cat Club. No, I wasn't playing the Cat Club then.
Yeah.
Small clubs in New York City.
So how was that transition?
I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it.
You were just able to embrace it.
Yeah. The hardest part about then, which now, within years, probably definitely alleviates that. But when you play in front of 20,000 or 40,000 people, the monitors are pretty much so blaringly loud.
Yeah.
Because
you got side fills and front.
Yeah, because first of all, the stage is wider. Right. Everybody's a little bit further apart.
So far apart.
But the audience, if they start clapping, that's thunderous. Right. You can't hear what's going on.
Right.
So now with in-ears, I'm pretty, you're isolated and stuff like that. The other thing that's wild about playing in front of really large crowds is when you start doing the clap thing.
Yeah.
The people in the back, they're in a different time zone.
Right, the time's off.
They might as well be in another state with a time zone.
Right.
Because, you're like one and they're like,
You're not behind it, right.
Yeah.
Throw you off, right. That's
so, cool. You have to get used to the volume. That was a key thing.
Well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you do that tour. So you get to Tracy Chapman how?
When I was working on my record in 1990, my record came out. So 89, 90, I was recording it.
And this is kind of after this other tour you did?
After the Miguel Bosé tour.
Yeah, okay.
1990. I was doing my tour. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. 89, I got a call to audition for Billy Squier.
Okay.
I went down, auditioned, had a great time with the band, had a great time with Billy. I personally didn't fit the band at the time. Mm-hmm. And which was okay. No.
What was Jeff's name to play the guitar?
Jeff Golub.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's passed.
Wasn't he the one that had that job at the time?
He had the job, but he was doing Rod Stewart with Carmine.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing that.
Yeah, okay. Great guitar player.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for Billy, didn't get it, but remained friends with all those guys.
Right.
And went to see them play and stuff like that. I got signed. At one point, we talked about maybe Billy writing lyrics on one of the songs and maybe singing a song on the record. But
Billy was from New York, right?
Billy's from Massachusetts, but he lived in New York.
Okay.
And all those guys kind of lived around New York, but as far away from New York as you could possibly go and still be in New York.
Right, still be in New York.
In different directions, too.
Right.
Which will come back in a minute. But
okay.
So I did the Billy Squier tour, and I'm sorry. Oh, God, I'm trying to remember all this stuff.
You were Tracy Chapman, but you're...
Tracy Chapman, got called for Billy Squier, didn't get the Billy Squier tour.
Yeah.
While my record came out, I had done, when we were mixing my record, I had done a live track on, I believe this is how it went, I'm trying to remember now, on a Misha Parrish record that was being recorded at Unique Studios in New York City.
Okay.
Those guys worked for Nile Rodgers. I had met Nile Rodgers, one of my heroes and stuff like that, and got to see him hanging out and stuff like that. They recommended me for Nile to do some stuff. Some other people recommended me for Nile. I walked in the China Club one night, and Nile's there. He goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, cool. It's great to see you," and stuff like that.
Right.
He goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, "Anything you want." He goes, I'm working on this Rick Ocasek record from the Cars.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to play on a song? I'm like, sure. So I went the next day, or I think it was the next day, and played on this song, and it was really great. It was great. Rick was absolutely...
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Wonderful. And so then Rick invited me to his house, and he played some of the other songs in the record, and then he asked me if I would come back and play some more. So I ended up playing on the whole record,
wow.
Except for one song.
Which record was this?
Fireball Zone.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a video for the funny rock roller coaster video. So now I'm getting to Tracy.
Right.
I know it's a long way around.
That's okay.
Rick's record's supposed to come out. We're supposed to tour. I go to the China Club was a key spot for me at those times. I'm in the China Club one night, and I see all the guys in the Billy Squier band. Now, remember I said they lived as far away as possible in different directions.
Right.
And then they go, "Hey, Billy's here." I'm like, okay. So Billy comes out, we're hanging out, we're talking. They were there to see some other guitar player. And Billy goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm waiting for Rick. We're about to do this tour for the record we did." He goes, "No, you're coming on the road with us." I'm like, what?
Wow.
So it was a back and forth thing of trying to do that. And there was one time where actually I went and did the video, and we played with Rick. We did the Montauk Lighthouse benefit on Long Island with Billy Joel and Paul Simon and a bunch of people. Yeah. But I was in the beginning of the Billy Squier tour as well. So I was playing with Billy live and then flying back and doing rehearsals with Rick and then Billy and then the show and the video.
Wow. Crazy.
So 91 happens. I'm on the tour with Billy Squier doing the thing with Rick. 92 starts up, not really doing anything. And I get a call from Elliot Roberts, and Elliot, I believe, had managed Rick, but I didn't meet him when he was managing Rick. Okay. I met someone else. Don't quote me on the exact thing, but Elliot was managing Tracy Chapman.
Okay.
And now, mind you, I had just gotten my second acoustic guitar ever,
right
at the end of 91.
Right, because we're electric guitar players.
Yeah. And so I answered the phone. He goes, "Hey, this is Elliot Roberts, and I'm calling, and I represent Tracy Chapman, and we'd like you to come out on the road with us." I'm like, "Yeah, who is this?" Because no, it's Elliot. And so he goes, I'd love to meet you and stuff like that. Come on down. I'm staying at a hotel in Manhattan, and I'm in town with Neil Young. And I'm like, I'm going.
Right.
Get on a train, get there. And he says, he goes, all right, don't say anything to Neil. I'll just introduce you, but don't say anything to Neil.
Right.
But I'm a train fan. And Neil was, at that time, I believe he was still co-owner of Lionel Trains.
Okay.
You know, he bought that to help save the company, I guess. And
right. Oh, that's cool.
so at this point, I'm like, I still don't believe that they want me to play with Tracy Chapman, because I'm Mr. Rock and Roll. Not heavy metal,
right?
Not unless they shred, but New York City knows me as Miss like just rock.
Right.
I play with a full length zebra coat and a double neck guitar.
Right at the time. Yeah.
So he introduced me to Neil, and I'm like, so what's the train? You know, what's going on with trains like now? He's like, I told you not to.
Right.
But at that point, I'm like, yeah, I don't really think I'm going to do this. I don't think that's really going to happen. But I got to talk to Neil Young about trains, and then maybe we'll get into guitars and stuff like that.
Right.
By the way, when I did Billy's tour, I wish I was into vintage guitars then.
Yeah, he's in the guitar.
He took on that road a 78 burst, and a 58 burst. 259 gold tops.
Wow.
His idea, actually, all right, so this is when you talk about tone, right? And Billy has a great tone, great player.
Oh, yeah.
His idea of clean sound was, I believe he had a 100-watt plexi for his clean, and a 50-watt JCM 800 for lead, an AB box and a wah. Right? Yeah. You start with a no-caster. It's very key.
I love that guitar.
Start with a no-caster. And then when you want to beef up the sound a little bit, you switch to a 59 Les Paul Jr. with a P90. Mm-hmm. And then you want to get a little bit more excitement happening, you switch to like a gold top with 57 gold top.
This is during the show you're talking about?
Yeah, he switched guitars all the time. Right. 57 gold top with P90s.
Right.
And then you want to really hit him, you switch to a 58 burst. Yeah, I was like,
sick, right?
Yeah, I got a red guitar and a green guitar and a blue guitar. I wish I was into vintage. Some of my friends came down and they were like blown away that he was taking this stuff on the road.
I saw an article on him on vintage guitar.
Yeah.
So I read that.
But that's his thing was that's what he plays. Right. And he had ones he kind of collected and ones that he played. And so
he played them.
Yeah, he goes, why would I have these and then play something else? So I got the call to play with Tracy and went out and played and had a great time. She's, I've been really lucky. She's probably the most consistent. She's not a shred kind of player, but the most consistent, almost robotic, but she has, feel.
Right.
In acoustic guitar playing that I've met.
Right.
It's like night after night.
You can guarantee it, right?
I was like, okay. Yeah, there's no mistakes. It's just everything's just. It's like Data if you're watching Star Trek.
Right. There are people, it's amazing. I have friends that are like that are just they can just knock it out like that.
That's not me.
Right.
Might be slightly different every night.
Right, which is I think a guitar player thing. We tend to. If we want to be that way, really.
I don't know, but
when you're improvising, you want to be able to have variance and variation and yeah. But you got to be consistent too. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything. So you played with her for how long?
The tour was like 6 months or more, and then we took a break, and I think we went out for another month or two.
This is early in the mid-90s?
92.
Okay, 92.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question about gear roll for a second.
Okay.
The 88 MP1, did you own one?
I had one for a minute. It
seemed like everybody had the MP1.
Yeah,
and either the SDE 3000 or a Quadriverb.
I had a Quadriverb. I had an SDE 3000. I had everything at first, and then when I did that first tour, Miguel Bosé, I had a budget to buy gear, and so I remember. So you remember when the 2290 came out?
Yeah.
You know how much they were back then?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I spent, I'm not even going to say it, but I spent that on a delay. So I went and I put together this cool rig, and I used that for a long time until I could not carry it around anymore.
This is after Tracy Chapman?
No, this is before Tracy. Okay. This is the Miguel Bosé tour in 1988.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a 2290, I had a Yamaha SPX 90, I had a quad preamp. They had just come out, I believe. Mesa Boogie quad preamp.
Oh, yeah, the quad preamp, yeah, sure.
And I tried that power amp for one time, but that power amp weighed like 100 and something pounds.
This is an AL 34 power amp.
And I was like, I don't want this. And I had to switch to a QSC for a while.
Right.
And the quad preamp that had to be like 40 pounds or 50 pounds itself.
Yeah,
the rack was so heavy. And it had rack drawers, had pedals and stuff like that in.
Everything under the
sun. And I had so on Squier Tour, it was almost the same thing, except I had a Bradshaw by then, and I had a Marshall preamp.
J&P.
No, it wasn't J&P. It was like
really?
The single channel one.
Okay.
It was like 9,000 or
something.
Yeah,
the 9,000, yeah.
And then I had a studio preamp, Mesa Boogie studio preamp, and I had a Soldano for a while too. The preamp. Yeah, the two rack space preamp.
Right.
And again, Billy had a Plexi.
Right, pretty straightforward.
And a JCM 800.
You said a chorus pedal or split?
No, just the AB box and the wah.
AB box and wah.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, when I saw him in '83, dude, it was one of the first concerts. But this is before Van Halen for me. Mm-hmm. So I was just,
Yeah.
That band was, they were just like a straight ahead rock and roll band, and I just was like, powerful.
Yeah. No, I learned a lot on that tour. Yeah. It was rocking.
Those great songs, too. Great songs that he wrote with it. So after Tracy and Rick and all that, talk about your career getting into doing all the things. Yeah, there it is. There it is. That's what I'll do, right? The half step. Okay, I got it. So talk about what happened after that with you and say 94 on.
Well, all right. So I come back. Be glad for all you guitar players now. Be glad you have the internet. Because every time I would come back from a tour, like I said, after the Billy Squier tour, I was just kind of sitting at home. Because if you left town for more than a couple of months, people forgot.
They forget about you immediately.
Yeah, right? Or they would think, for 2 years after Tracy's tour, I would run into people on the street in Manhattan. They go, "Hey man, how's the tour going?" I'm going, "Tour was over like 2 years ago." They go, "Oh really? We just did this record. We could have used you on." I'm like, "Did you call me?"
Right.
And so now you can, when you get off the road, you can say, start Facebooking and social media, going, "Hey,
reconnecting.
Tour was great. I'm coming home." Whatever.
Yeah, that's got for me, since I'm always in one place, it's easy for me to keep the momentum and connection. But when you walk in and out of that world, that's got to be difficult, even with social media to can you get back in pretty quickly?
I think you can. I mean, once people realized I was back, then that was a little bit easier.
Yeah, the work.
Yeah. And then I grew up in I came up at a time in New York City where it was really, I didn't know how special it was until years later. There's a good friendly competition that kept you on your toes.
Sure. Then
And the only thing that was weird was when some guys would come from out of town, and in New York City had people come in, whole bands move in New York City like every week or so.
Right.
Trying to make it, and then some stayed, and then half the band would go back home because it was brutal. Living in New York City and trying to survive and stuff like that. But like I said, I always hung out with a group of 10 guitar players. And if I had like a handful of gigs and I was about to go on the road and we're friends, I would go, "Hey, I know you're playing in 5 bands, but I got these other 4 gigs. Can you do them while I'm gone?"
So covering.
Yeah, they would kind of do it, and
so you could come in and out as you needed to.
And I wouldn't be worried that you were just going to be bad mouthing me to all the people that I play with. Go, "Oh yeah, he hates your gig," something like that.
Right, steal your gig.
Yeah, because the guys I hung out were really cool, and there was also a good drummer contingent of guys. I mean, there are some of the drummers, like I said, Tal Bergman is. There are drummers that the world considers today some of the best drummers, and they work all the time. And those guys would swap gigs left and right.
Right.
And
so they're good support.
And most of them weren't. They were really cool.
Yeah.
And so the guitar player wise, like when I got called for the Billy Squier audition, I recommended a handful of other friends, and I remember one guy, the only guy that was weird later on. And he wasn't part of that group that I was talking about, but I had met him and I thought he was cool, and I recommended it. And he was like, "You don't want to do the gig?" I said, "Yeah, I want to do the gig, but if I don't get it, I want one of my friends to get the gig."
Right.
And so because he went into the audition, didn't make it to the second round, but was not nice to start. And I never recommended for anything else again.
Right.
But But yeah, so it was a good time about like that, and you just know really cool people, and you just go, hey, I want to help people as well. So if I go do something, I want my friends to go do stuff, and then I hope that when I come back, if I need to do my gigs again, they're like, oh yeah, I'm still doing this gig, and unless the artist doesn't want you back, that's different.
Right.
And also, I think most of the time we had earned the respect where. If I was playing with somebody and I was like, I can't do these gigs, but I got a friend that I know can do it.
Right. And they know
sometimes the artists be like, okay, if you say they can do it,
right.
All right, cool.
It's and
I'm not going to recommend someone that's
referencing. You know all the right guys. And that's the same thing with me. If I got to get out of something, I know which bands to call, which people to call.
Yeah.
I'm not going to send somebody over there. It's going to make me look bad. I mean, I'm trying to give them an equal, whatever it is they were looking for from me, at least from somebody else. So, yeah. So, as far as, I want to get into, some of the advice you would give younger people, since you do work with a younger artist.
Yeah.
And what would you say, to the younger artists these days? What do they need to be mindful of? I mean, if you had 3 tips on business, if you're really serious about the business and you wanted to do this, as either full-time or, I would say full-time, because that's really, when you're looking at higher.
You have to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I guess you have to take a lot of gigs that you might not want to take, but you take them and you do them until you can get to the position where you can say, this is not the right gig for me. But never do it in a bad way. Say, this is not the right gig for me. Say, you know what, I can't do it. I know the right person. I know someone else you can recommend for it.
Right.
There are gigs that musically are really good, but I don't necessarily like the people. And there are gigs where the artists aren't necessarily the best artists, but they're really cool people.
Right.
And I'll do that gig over the other type of gig.
Right.
Doing lots of different things. I've had ups and downs with my career, and
when you say doing lots of different things, you mean you're doing production work?
I'm doing production. Before that, I was in the studio doing, when people actually would bring you into studios to do side, like they do in Muscle Shoals area. They're still doing, Will is doing stuff like that. Yeah,
still busy.
You have to, if you're an artist, then excuse me, it used to be you had to put together a team. Now it's really hard to get a team unless you have stuff going on. So you have to be your own team for a while. So you need to learn video editing.
Right.
You need to be able to post on social media, because you can't hire someone. Maybe if you got someone in your family that can do it.
Right.
But you can't hire someone if you're not making a lot of money to do all that stuff. And you have to have a presence on social media, whether you hate social media or not.
Right.
If you hate it, then make sure that you're not posting what you just ate for lunch and all your personal stuff.
Right.
Just do it for music.
Right.
You have to, book shows for a while, your own shows. Mm-hmm. You have to find alternative kind of shows. I remember being on stage with a Native American artist that I played with, who's actually very, very successful. Mm-hmm. And we were doing this event in Santa Fe called Indian Market. And we were playing in a club in Santa Fe. Mm-hmm. And he was smiling from ear to ear. And he, we're playing and it's cool. The place is jam-packed. And he came up to me and goes, "This is great. I never did this before." I'm like, "You never did what?" He goes, "I never played in a club before."
Oh.
And I was like, I don't understand. And then it hit me. We played cultural arts centers. We played casino theaters.
Okay.
We played theaters.
Right.
We played amphitheaters. We played museums. We played everything but clubs on that. Okay. And because also there's pay structures there. He was actually, we had a huge band with dancers and, stuff like that. And so, yeah, the clubs didn't, see, but he was excited that he was playing in the club. And I'm like, really, we're playing in the club? All right, it's cool. It's full. Awesome. So you have to think differently. If you're a guitar player, you definitely have to, I do guitar clinics. Mm-hmm. I do house concerts. Mm-hmm. I do a combination of the two where, I might do a house concert. I do house concerts not necessarily just for guitar players. I have a decent amount of the fan base that are actually not players. They just like the music.
Right.
So I do house concerts like that where I tell stories about where the songs come from. But I also do house concerts where very guitar oriented. So I still do that, but the next day there might be a long day of guitar lessons, or explaining how to set up effects or fractal, or something like that.
So lots of different income sources.
Yes, you can't rely on one thing.
Yeah, especially these days.
Yeah, well, even when in '95 I had come out with my third record, which is an acoustic record, which is different, and there's a whole process behind how that happened, but it happened by just fate. Guided. I couldn't stop it from happening, and I was very happy it did.
Wow.
But at that point, I didn't have I had been signed at 5. Before that record came out, I'd been signed to 5 labels and not made any money from those labels.
Yeah.
Sold records, but not made any money from those labels.
Right.
If you're young and you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back to the history of artists.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
All time rock and roll.
Yeah. Not getting paid by your labels. So through kindness, I was able to go to a friend's house and record, try and make a record. The acoustic record is what came out. It changed a lot for me, but it also instilled into me that I could continue having a career as an artist if I wanted to. I just have to make the records myself. I didn't want to sign another record label ever again.
Right.
And
so you started doing it independent when?
In '95, when a lot of people weren't doing it.
Okay.
And I ended up speaking on a couple panels at different music conferences because I had distribution and stuff.
Cool.
But so I got money together, built my own studio, and I moved to San Diego and started producing other artists by accident as well.
Okay.
And that turned into a bit of a sidetrack career. And then I ended up going back to New York for a year, working for some big pop producers and learning some other things, and then going to New Mexico. And I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico for 10 years. And I did more producing there than I did of playing of my stuff. In fact, I was doing an Ibanez clinic in Sweden, and someone had brought up my first record for me to sign. I'm going, how'd you get this here? Did you buy it in Sweden? He goes, yeah. I said, it was never supposed to be sold outside of America. That's another thing about the music business.
Right.
But he's like, when are you doing another one? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't done a record in 10 years, or, almost 10, at the time, I think it was.
Right.
So that got me started on doing my own stuff again. But for a while, that was the major source of my survival of it.
Right.
It was, producing and engineering.
Right. So finding these other... Some of that was organic, like you were saying.
It just happened.
Some of it just happened, but I guess you got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving.
Keep moving. You're gonna think some things are just gonna happen.
Hopefully.
Yeah, just hopefully. Yeah. I mean,
And then finding the balance for me for the last 10 years has been about finding the balance between producing other artists, producing stuff for myself, playing live for other artists. They all have their pros and cons. You know.
So how when you try to find your balance as far as your schedule goes? I mean, you just kind of go wherever it is and just take what you can, got going on, or do you have a set thing that you do with your recording at home, where you have a set time frames, or?
No, I'm trying. It's hard.
It's hard. That's what I was gonna say. I have that same problem. It's trying to make, if I want to do a record, I've got to carve out time to sit down.
Yes. Every time in the last few years, every time I've said I'm gonna do this, like I try and come home for the major holidays to be here with my mom. Mm-hmm. And last year, I said, all right, cool. I'm going to do a record. I'm going to be home from Thanksgiving till NAMM.
Yeah.
And then Steve Vai called.
Right.
And said, do you want to come do Vai Academy? And I'm
right.
like, sure. So that meant...
Right.
That was right after New Year's Day.
Right.
So
you shift that.
So that shifted. And then I think I stayed out there. And then... So all of January was gone until after NAMM. And I think I went from NAMM to New York last year. So this year, I was the same thing. I was like, I was going to work on some stuff. I did work on some stuff.
It was this year, right?
I got a call last minute to do G4.
That's right, Satriani, right?
Satriani.
Yeah.
And that
so
was
how
really
do you turn that down? I mean,
you don't.
Right.
You
go do it, right?
You just kind of go. They ask you to do it, and you kind of go, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So those particular things with Satriani and Vai, that you said the relationship with that started back when you were Ibanez days.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Steve's for for even before that. But I've been Ibanez artist for 26 years straight. So 1987, right before, or 87.
So the same era, same time frames is all.
I think officially 88. I had just gotten it right and then did that tour, that Miguel Bosé tour.
Yeah, so that was right when he was doing the same. He was like, what, it was 85 was Eat 'em and Smile, and then he went right after that would have been the Ibanez era with him.
For him,
yeah, I was going to say. And Satriani, your connection with him?
The same thing.
Same
Ibanez.
With Ibanez.
And also he was on Relativity Records, and I knew the guys at Relativity for a long time.
I was going to say the designer of the gym, well, was it Seven Stringer Gym? What's his name?
The gym, Joe Despagni?
No, he worked at Yamaha after that.
Oh, Rich Lasner. Yeah, he's the guy that signed me to Ibanez.
Okay, well, Rich Lasner.
Yeah.
It's funny because I ended up going to Yamaha when he was there. I worked in a store and I won this custom guitar through a program there, and Rich Lasner was the designer.
Yeah. When they had the place in Hollywood?
In Hollywood, North Hollywood, yeah. So they
Pacifica.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they took me out there, and I designed a custom Pacifica.
Nice.
To all my specs, and Rich helped me do it, and then their custom team
built it there.
I forgot their last word, but Ken DePron was out there then. He still is, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, that Rich Lasner, and he was with Vox later, and all that too. So yeah, you guys all kind of knew him, right?
Rich is the one that actually signed me.
Okay, signed you.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to go into the story, but it was a magical moment when meeting Rich.
Right.
Magical.
Yeah. He's a great guy. I like Rich a lot.
Absolutely.
Vinyl review.
Uh-oh.
I brought vinyl with me today.
This is scary. I've done something like this on one, and I didn't.
All right, so what I want you to do is just give me your impression of each album as I bring them out. You ready? All right, first one I'm going to pull from the bottom.
It's Queen. I don't know this particular record, though.
Is Bohemian Rhapsody and all that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. You like Brian May?
I do like Brian May. Is that the original cover?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that cover before.
Yeah. That's the one with the Bohemian Rhapsody and what was the other bigger song? Love of My Life.
Yeah, there's some great guitar tones in that.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of his or?
I'm not a huge fan, but I guess also I have like the Queen's greatest hits.
Everybody had that, right?
Yeah. That's probably why I don't know that.
That's why I had all that. That same. I mean, this particular album I didn't own as a young kid, but I owned Greatest Hits. Everybody did, I think, right?
Yeah. No, it's absolutely it's some great tones on there.
All right, here we go. You ready? Mm-hmm. Oh, this is easy.
Oh yeah.
So
life-changing.
Talk about anything on that was big for you.
Oh, everything.
Everything.
Ain't Talking About Love, Running with the Devil, You Really Got Me.
All those. Yeah, On Fire.
Oh.
Did you get this album?
Atomic Punk.
Did you get this first, or did you get it? Which album?
This is the first record I got. Even though I saw them on the tour after this, on the second one.
Right, but this is the first time you were exposed to him.
Oh yeah.
What was the first song you remember?
I think someone played the Eruption for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was like.
Everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
I think everybody said that, right? What? All right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar you are with him.
I only know a few songs. Gary Moore is great playing. So my friend, he's passed away, Gordon Gaines. Mm-hmm. I introduced him to Richard Lasner, and Richard signed him. Oh. Gordon was a big Gary Moore fan, and Gordon was just an amazing guitar player. Yeah. And so I got to know more about Gary Moore by watching Gordon. I would go up and go, "That song's great. When did you write that?" He goes, "Oh, that's a Gary Moore song." Right. Like, all right. And after that happens like a bunch of times, I go, "All right, I got to start listening to Gary Moore."
Yeah, this was Victims of the Future, Shape of Things cover with Jeff Beck's the Yardbirds thing. Pretty cool. Of course, these two you'll know very well.
Yeah. This was I mean, this is a crazy record. This is
Yeah, it was for that era, for instrumental, I guess. At the time,
it was just look at this. This is just a bold statement to start with.
Right.
And if you didn't know anything about the guitar player, you look at it and go, all right, what's the deal? What's the deal? There's like so much stuff on here with the little angels and
right.
And there's passion and warfare.
I love the artwork.
The artwork is amazing, and then when you put it on, you're gonna go, oh,
yeah.
I can't imagine this record without with any other cover.
Right. I couldn't either.
And then the guitar, there is nothing normal about this. It's just like it just redefines normal.
Well, 7-string, yeah. I mean,
it's just there's extra string on it. The paint job, it's what's going on.
Yeah, that cover for me was just like, wow. You know what? And I flexible didn't hit me like this did.
Yeah,
this one just killed me.
Oh no, this was the record. This was definitely.
Yeah, it was like when I was with him, I talked to him about this record, and he said it was just more of a kind of accumulation of all the things that he had going on coming together. With this record being that he had held off on a little bit because of the Whitesnake tour or whatever. And but he said that he thinks that it was just accumulation of the period when he was ready to do this.
This is when, yeah, I'm pretty sure. He probably felt like this is it. This is the moment where everything collides.
Right.
And it's a brilliant record. It's just a brilliant record. Tones on it, the writing. Yeah. It's just friendly enough to like for people who are not necessarily guitar players to tune into a few songs and go, this is cool, and just out enough for people that are into out stuff and like, oh yeah.
Right. You know, I think this is a true test of all guitar instrumental rock is if your wife can listen to it and dig a song on it.
Yeah.
My wife likes audiences listening.
Okay.
And she said we went to see G3 was Satriani by Yngwie.
Uh-huh.
And she said, out of the three, Vi was her favorite.
Okay, cool.
You know, I think he just, he is on stage. He's very animated and entertaining. And just
Did you see Generation X tour?
I didn't. I saw you went.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have. I was working. All right.
Yeah, this was another key record. One of the more friendly guitar instrumental records out.
Right.
And
I mean, do you feel like these two albums in particular? I mean, they really gave that genre of rock guitar instrumental their place. Maybe. I mean, there's always been instrumental records.
Yeah, there's always been instrumental. I think you're missing one record.
Which one?
I think this and Avia Years to Come, because they all came out around the same time, right?
Yeah.
And those three records were just like. I mean, it was nonstop you listening to one from the other.
Dude, I was listening to these all the time.
That shaped. So I think they shaped the guitar shred world. Those three records,
right.
More than any Yngwie record or any of the stuff that was out there. But also, we talked about this earlier. Those three records caused such terror,
right?
That like my instructional video came out in '93,
right?
And that was right around the time that I think that if you wanted to start playing guitar, you had to start with Eruption.
Right.
You had to start learning some Van Halen tunes so you can ease into this stuff. Right. And then you had to like learn all this theory and all this other stuff like that. And the backlash was Nirvana came out. And people were like, oh yeah. And I've always said that. I always said the cool thing about guitar is you could take a young kid and show them 3 chords.
Right.
And it's 1,000 rock tunes.
Right, sure.
And they could be popular at school.
Right.
You know, you can't do that with any of these. This requires some heavy thought.
Right.
So, I mean...
I don't know that I play any of these. I can just listen to these.
Those 2 records plus Avia Musicom, they caused terror. I think they terrified
all guitar players.
It's just like, if you wanted to start, you go, yeah, no... And somebody be like, "Oh yeah, just learn like Eruption, and you really got me. You'll be good." And no, like right before those came out, Eruption terrified you.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, I was. The whole thing was like, at that period, it was like literally that was the bar.
That was the bar where you had to start.
Yeah, I mean, your starting bar was like.
And Nirvana came out. It's like, I could learn 3 chords and be rock and roll. Right. Yeah, that's what rock and roll is.
Right. It's interesting that Steve and Joe are still doing so great with this. They still have their and like you said, with these camps, they've diversified into other income streams that they can provide to their. Whether they want to be on tour all year or whatever.
They're really both the camps that I've been to. I haven't been to Petrucci's camp yet, or I haven't been to Tommy Emmanuel's camp. But both those camps are really cool. Most of the people there they want the experience, and I know at Steve's thing, Steve made everybody jam with him.
Right.
So all 200 and something campers got on stage and jammed with him at, for a couple of minutes each and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's part of the experience. You go in there to learn, but you also go in there just the experience.
Yeah.
It's a really great experience just to be surrounded by guitar players. It reminds me, like I said, when I was grew up around 10 guitar players, except this is 200 and something guitar players.
Right.
Hanging out and talking and sharing stuff. Yeah, I'm there as one of the instructors and teachers, but I'm also watching some of the other, the other classes.
Isn't that the point of it, the inspiration of like being with them and even with the other guys that are there. I mean, you meet new friends. You get inspired by whoever you like your friends when you're growing up. That was part of the communication between everybody. And,
absolutely.
And then to have Steve Vai there to let you play with him, it's like, wow.
Yeah. And put on a show every night and do some cool. His master classes are really great and stuff like that.
He's really got. One of the questions I asked him is why are you doing so many dates on this tour? Like 300. I forgot what it was.
Which tour was that?
It was not the Passion Warfare, the one before the Story of Light.
Oh, okay.
And that was the time I was telling you about. There was just a few of us, and he was like, he was talking about how he was trying to, when you get on stage, you want to lose your inhibition, and you want to connect more to the instrument. And he was talking about how he's still learning to let go on stage and to be able to connect. And you've heard him say this probably in one of the videos where he says, "Become the music."
Sure.
Right? Where you let go and you're able to take all the technique and become the messenger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part of my concept and what I talk about at the masterclass is, you want to learn the technique. The technique is not music.
Yeah.
It's technique.
Right.
They're tools.
Yeah.
So you practice bending. You practice hammer-ons. You practice picking.
Right.
You practice scales. You practice dynamics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't use one of those for the entire solo.
Right.
It would just drive yourself and everybody else crazy. But you also can't be doing a solo all the time where you're just thinking about, I should bend here, I should do that.
Right.
The idea is you learn those techniques to kind of let them be at your beck and call when you want to present something.
Right.
When you start to become one with what you're doing.
Right.
And you communicate.
Yeah.
Just like we're communicating now.
Right.
We're not thinking, what word should I use next?
Right.
What word should I use?
Right.
It's your entire life's history of learning.
Right.
That that's at your beck and call. What words to use, what dynamics to use. We're not yelling right now.
Right.
But
it is the same.
It's the same concept. It's playing. It's communicating.
Yeah.
And you learn words. It's growing up. You learn. You learn dynamics. So if I really want to emphasize something, or if I want to just bring attention to it, I can even just slow down.
Right.
And talk soft, and you start to listen more. Right. And if I say, if I go, man, the Billy Squier tour is great, and blah blah blah, it's different than excitement.
Right.
We play the same way.
Right.
And you can't do either one of those the entire time. If I talk slow and stuff like that, you'd be like, wow, this guy's drunk.
Right. I was watching this video of Will McFarland, and one of the things that it seems like no matter what I do, I'll find something, I'll learn something from somebody, just by, like you said, just with that one thing you got to, never thought of it that way. And he was talking about, how if you just stay in the pentatonic, it's, it just will sound like that all the time. And he was talking about some of the two-note things he did on all those records that were, I think a lot of the guys before him, Reggie Young and those guys, had done all those licks, but he was just showing some really simple concepts of how not to sound like you're playing a pentatonic minor scale the whole time, and how to make it speak more, and how to connect those more. And so it was really cool. Yeah. And something that how to stay out of the box. How not to.
You learn the box to stay out of the box too.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me, man.
Sure,
It's been great to come down and see you down here, and I'll see you. I know I'll see you around because we're always in the same places doing the same thing, always at NAMM. So I really appreciate hanging with you today. And
cool. I don't think I have any more, but let me see. What
you got?
This is my signature yo-yo.
Oh wow! Really? Wow, man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
When's the last time you used a yo-yo?
Since I was a little boy. It's
All
been
right.
a long time.
Okay. You're going to have to stand up because the string's long. But...
Okay, let me try this. See if I can do it. You wrap it around your finger, right?
No. There's a loop there.
Here.
Yep.
On your finger.
If you need the loop bigger, just make another loop. But
Should be good. You put it on your middle. You put it on your...
yeah, usually the middle finger.
Okay. Down all the way, or just part?
Where it feels
It
comfortable.
don't matter, really, right?
Mm-hmm. And then
You go down.
this way, and then turn your hand over.
So like... Not quite.
Yeah.
Almost.
There you go. You almost got it.
Almost
There you
got
go. Open your hand. You got to catch it.
it. All right, dude.
There you go. Look at it. Oh, you almost had it.
I locked it up. That's cool.
Cool.
Cool. So, how long you been doing this?
Since September, I think.
So, did you do this when you were a kid?
No. I mean, I did. I tried, but
That's cool.
yeah, I just wanted to have something on the merch table for kids that come to shows.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good idea, man.
Well, I got one for you.
Oh,
So,
well, thank you.
yeah.
Thank
I
you,
got
man.
one in the box. You know.
Oh, well,
That'd be fun.
I appreciate it, man. I got a CD for you, by the way, too.
Okay, cool.
And I'll give you that to you. Thank you again for being here. This is Larry Mitchell, y'all. Episode 23.
23.
23 of Musical Journeys.
Is that Michael Jordan, LeBron
It
James,
is. It is.
Kobe
That's a
Bryant?
good number, right?
All right, 23. Sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you.